The subject of the present day presentation is the evolution of morals in world history. The question arises whether there was any progress and advancement concerning moral behavior and moral thought in humankind's history or not. At a first glance, one could assume that there hadn't been any moral progress in world history, as we see our present day world society is full of cruelties and inequalities and injustice, and that widespread violence, widespread cruelty is to find in societies of the world, down to villages, neighborhoods, families, and up to wars and general world conflicts. Today we observe the continuance and preservation of wars across world society, and that there is no real denial and oppression of the uprise of wars and conflicts all over the world. But on the other hand, there is a lot of material and a lot of data that speak another language, that support the idea that there was a moral progress in world history, and not only a moral progress due to institutional arrangements and due to societal transformations, but to true and deep changes in the mind of the people. It is a difference when I acknowledge moral progress due to simple social transformation, to simple social structural transformations, or whether I can evidence that there was a moral progress due to advancements and progress taking place in the minds of the people. And it is possible to prove of a moral progress according to the stage transformations I have described at length. There was a moral progress from the pre-operational stage over the concrete to the formal operational stage, having taken place in humankind's history over the centuries. I have published about this subject a lot. I want to show you the most important articles I've written about this. There's 3 articles. The most important one is the first one about the arena games in the Roman Empire. This is my most important article about the morals history, especially pertaining to journal articles. In my books, you find the subject described with a greater amount, but concerning to articles, this is the most important one. And the second one, published in Human Evolution, describes the subject on a worldwide scale, down to a great deal of subjects. And the third article sees the civilization theory of Norbert Elias as a theory of moral development, and draws a link to the theory program I have developed called Structural Genetic Theory Program. So these are the main articles. When we want to prove of a moral progress taking place in the psyches, personalities, and minds of people, then it is useful to refer to the Roman arena games. Because the Roman arena games consisted of three main elements: the chases of animals, gladiator fights, and mass executions of delinquents. These are the three parts, the three elements of the Roman arena games. The Roman arena games existed for about 500 years, dispersed around the Mediterranean to find in most great cities of the empire, not only in Italy alone, but also in the east, west, the north, the south of the Mediterranean Sea. But the single elements are to find in every pre-modern or archaic society. Gladiator fights are nothing else than duels between two fighters before audience. And this was a common subject, usually in all archaic or pre-modern societies, that men were allowed to fight against each other on the peril of death. This was the usual custom in pre-modern societies and supported by customs and law. So this is not typical Roman. This is typical for pre-modern societies, and it is not allowed anymore only in modern societies usually. Chases of animals are also to find apart from the Roman empires. Chases of animals as a form of enthusiasm and entertainment was beloved in Black Africa, in the African kingdoms. It was beloved and supported in China and India. It was beloved and supported in medieval and early modern Europe. As last examples, the bull fights in Spain or South France, partially existing by today. So, or you take the chicken, the cock fights, beloved in the global South up to today as a form of entertainment. And the third element, execution of delinquents before a great audience, this was a typical form of entertainment and justice in Europe up to the 18th century. It was forbidden from the beginning of the 19th century onwards in Europe. So the three elements the Roman arena games consist of are not typical Roman, but they are to find in every pre-modern society. And therefore, the Roman arena games discriminate from the other forms of other ancient or pre-modern cultures by their splendid and formidable form, by its greatness, by its power, and by the splendid form it had, but not by its elements. And therefore, we can take the Roman arena games, the study of the Roman arena games, to exemplify the moral conduct and the moral behavior and the moral attitudes of ancient and pre-modern societies generally. And therefore, I use the study of the Roman arena game to gain insights and knowledge about pre-modern morals generally. So, when we study now the Roman arena games, then we must address certain incredible forms of cruelties. It was custom to let people fight until one or two of them died. It was custom that animals were forced to fight each other until they die. For example, leopards against crocodiles, or snakes against dogs, or crocodiles against tigers, or so on. And hundreds and thousands of animals had to die during an entertainment lasting for a week or so. And it was also custom to let humans fight against beasts. For example, innocent naked girls aged 16 years of age, and they were forced to fight against wolves or wild dogs or crocodiles or whatever. And the people loved it to see how the girls could survive and could fight against these monsters, against these beasts. Or gladiators were forced to fight against predators until they die. Or it was custom to burn humans alive as torches, to burn them fixed at torches, and then to see how they die from burning. It was custom to fix delinquents at porches and to observe how predators kill them and eat them. And we see immediately such forms of entertainment are totally forbidden in the world society of today. But these customs were already forbidden in early modern Europe. And we see, therefore, that there is a special cruelty connected to these Roman arena games, to these pre-modern practices of entertainment. And we have now to raise the question whether this existence of the Roman arena games, this existence of these cruel customs around the pre-modern world, nowadays forbidden in modern societies, exemplify an advancement in moral thought and moral behavior or not. And therefore we have to go more into the details behind the existence of the Roman arena games. First of all, why did these Roman arena games exist? Historians often tell us that these games existed because the emperor wanted to show his power, or that the Roman civilization wanted to show his dominance upon nature. Of course, all these explanations are simply nonsense, because these Roman arena games belonged to the most important forms of leisure time activities and entertainment activities the ancient people had. The Roman arena games were to the Romans or to the ancient people that what is for us today football games or car races or tennis games or something like that. That means these people enjoyed these Roman arena games most. It was to them the most exciting forms of entertainment and leisure time practice. It was to them that what they liked most. And therefore, these Roman arena games existed because the people wanted them to exist. The whole populace wanted them, enjoyed them, and lust for them extremely and tremendously. And therefore, there is only one cause to the existence of the Roman arena games, and that is the wish of the people. These Roman arena games existed because ancient people wanted to see these cool things. It was to them a normal form of entertainment, a beloved and wanted and wished form of entertainment, to see how humans died, eaten by predators, or how humans died, killed as burning torches. But we have also a certain psychological precondition to the existence of the games. The ancient people was not only willing and ready to see these games, they were only capable to sustain them and to endure them. They were able to endure to see how people died these cruel deaths, how people were tortured, how people were beaten, how people were burned, how they were torn to pieces. So, there are two psychological preconditions to the existence of the games. First, the people wanted to see these cool things, and the people were capable to observe, to experience, to see how these cool things happened just in front of their eyes. And therefore, it is absolutely clear why these games do not exist anymore today, because present day people do not want to see them and they are not able to see them. I come to this point later. We have to add following things. First, there was no movement in ancient times to abolish these Roman arena games. There was no political party, there was no social movement that wanted to abolish them. There was no criticism of the Roman arena games in literature. When you study the book of Tertullian about the games, you find that he criticizes that the Christians are tortured there and killed them, but you do not find there a general criticism of the games. And you will not find Cicero or Seneca to condemn the games. Cicero found them boring, but he did not write a book or an article where he complains the general existence of the games. And the normal people, as a political elite, found that these games fulfill a certain function because it was believed that the games strengthen the people, make them strong, and are good for the brevity and the character of the people. It was seen as a sign of weakness not to be able to visit the games. People were ridiculed who did not want to visit the games and were vilified when they hesitated to visit and to attend the games because it was seen as a sign of strength, of character, when one was ready and prepared to watch these games. So, when we want to ask why they were abolished and why the Roman arena games were not resuscitated in early modern Europe, when civilization and state had the power to finance and to conduct the games again, then we quickly come to the conclusion that the games were abolished and did not reappear again in later times and do not exist anymore in modern day society because present day peoples around the world cannot endure anymore to watch such cruelties and do not want to see such things anymore. Nervous system has developed, and the nervous system of the modern day populace does not want and cannot endure to see such cruelties. And therefore, it is clear to me that there was an advancement of the psychological system, not only tracing back to an advancement of morals alone. There's the general advancement of psychological development, and the moral progress is only a part and a result of this psychological advancement. We have here an advancement of empathy, of sensibility, of the readiness and ability to overtake perspectives of other people, and advancements of feelings of compassion, pity, and conscience. It was a progress of conscience, feelings of conscience, that has caused the readiness to abolish these games and not to allow to let them reappear. The great historian Ludwig Friedländer, in his book about the customs of the ancient Rome, published in 1857, determined already at that time that the normal German would not want to see these games reappear and that he would not be able to endure them. And that even the simple people of his time would not enjoy them. And that these Roman arena games do not exist anymore in Germany 108 years ago, because there was an advancement in morals. That was a conclusion Ludwig Friedländer drew already in 1857. And I'm sure that he is in the right. I'm sure that the Europeans, at least since the time of the Age of Enlightenment, had advanced to such an extent that they wouldn't have enjoyed the Roman arena games anymore. And therefore, I see the abolishment of the Roman arena games and similar practices as a clear evidence of a moral progress in humankind taking place in the past centuries and perhaps in the past 500 years or so. If anyone would try today to let the Roman arena games reappear, he would be stopped immediately. Let's play with a scenario that the German parliament in Berlin, the national parliament in Berlin, would determine that the Roman arena games should reappear to commemorate the greatness of the ancient civilization, that the first plays should take place in the Olympic Stadium of Berlin. And let's imagine that the deputies and the politicians of Berlin would visit the arena and would discuss about the possibilities of seeing naked girls killed by predators, and how the daily press and the television and the radio stations would report about the incidents. And you see immediately that the performance of such games in today's society are a total impossibility. They are not a physical impossibility, but they are a psychological impossibility, and therefore they are a real impossibility. It is possible that an UFO lands in Buenos Aires and that extraterrestrials conquer the world. But it is impossible that the Roman arena games could reappear again. We would live in a completely different universe if such things could reappear. I say this with this determination because often I hear many people say, society could decline to the stages of the ancient people. It is possible that within years or within a generation, modern people could take the forms of the ancient people, and that backlash is always possible, and that we could at any time return to ancient customs and ancient practices. And you see immediately, or they say often also, that all ancient practices and all ancient customs still exist by today, or that the primitive forms of behavior and thinking, reason and mind, are still existent today. And that there was no real cultural advancement. I think that Bruno Latour, in one of his books, maintained that we are still primitive today. that there was no moral and psychological progress. Bruno Latour has simply not the knowledge to judge and to know this. He has no knowledge about these things, as most other sociologists don't have too. And we see now that there was a moral progress, and that this moral progress has an extent extremely huge. And therefore, we see that the ancient society was a society in a complete different universe. These people lived in a completely different cultural universe. And today's society, despite its still existent cruelties and primitivities, has advanced in comparison to the ancient society a lot.